The movie begins at a Shaolin martial arts school. We see the school's master, Wang, watching the students train. He orders his assistant to keep an eye on the students because he has an important errand to run. The assistant follows Master Wang's orders and trains the students in Kung Fu. We are introduced to one of the students named Fei, who is the son of Master Wang. Fei constantly teases and mocks the assistant during the training. Fei is a mischievous young man who is always causing trouble, making fun of the assistant and making the other students laugh at him. The assistant confronts Fei, saying, "Do you think just because you're the master's son, you have the right to mock me?" Fei replies, "Honestly, your training methods are stupid and you're a fool." Fei then kicks the assistant, knocking him to the ground and humiliating him in front of the students. The assistant gets up angrily and tries to fight Fei, but Fei, being skilled in Kung Fu, easily defeats him and continues to mock him. Later, Fei meets up with his delinquent friends in the market to eat. There, they notice a beautiful girl named Lin, and Fei becomes infatuated with her. He doesn't know who she is, but is very attracted to her. He challenges his friends to approach her and ends up going to talk to her himself. He uses a trick, throwing a snake on the ground to pretend to save her from it. However, Lin's mother appears and scolds Fei in front of everyone. Fei becomes angry and insults both Lin and her mother. He didn't know that Lin's mother is a Kung Fu master. She tells him, "I'm going to teach you a lesson you'll never forget." She reveals her exceptional martial arts skills and easily defeats Fei in a fight, leaving him surprised by her abilities. Fei tries to attack her several times, but she overpowers him each time, and his friends are too scared to intervene. Fei decides to leave with his dignity intact to avoid further humiliation. Later, we are introduced to a character named Jerry, the son of one of the town's wealthy men. Due to his father's influence, Jerry does whatever he wants without concern for others. Jerry sees a vendor selling a precious gemstone and tries to bully the vendor into giving it to him for free. He even hits the vendor when he asks for payment. At that moment, Fei is passing by and witnesses the incident. Fei decides to stand up for the poor vendor and fights Jerry. Despite being a troublemaker, Fei doesn't like seeing anyone bully the weak. Therefore, he fights Jerry to defend the vendor. Although Jerry is skilled in Kung Fu, Fei is stronger and defeats him in front of the crowd. Jerry grabs a sword to try and gain the upper hand, but Fei still manages to defeat him, taking the sword and holding it to Jerry's neck. Jerry is on the verge of tears. Fei takes money from Jerry's pocket and gives it to the vendor. Afterward, we see Lin's mother sitting with Master Wang, and we learn from their conversation that she is his sister. Fei arrives at the school and tries to sneak into his room upon seeing Lin's mother. However, his father spots him and calls him over to greet his aunt. Fei is shocked to realize that the woman who beat him up earlier is his aunt. He doesn't want to show his face to her, but she insists on seeing him. She is equally shocked to see that the troublesome boy who harassed her daughter is her nephew. She immediately tells Wang that Fei harassed her daughter and even tried to hit her. When Wang hears this, he slaps his son, knocking him to the ground. Just as Wang is about to punish Fei further, a man named Li arrives. Li is Jerry's father, the same Jerry that Fei recently beat up. We see that Jerry is in bad shape due to his fight with Fei. Li tells Wang that his son attacked Jerry, breaking his legs, arm, and several bones. Li and his men want to take revenge on Fei and beat him up. However, Fei's aunt defends him, suggesting they arrange a fight match between Fei and one of Li's men. Li agrees and chooses his best fighter to face Fei. The fight begins, and Li's man is very strong, landing powerful blows and knocking Fei down several times. But Fei keeps standing and fighting with determination. His aunt gives him advice on how to defeat his opponent. Fei follows her guidance, using a specific Kung Fu style, and manages to overcome the fighter. Li takes his men and leaves, but he is still furious with Fei, telling him, "You've caused me a lot of trouble today." Wang decides to punish his son by making him undergo a harsh training called horse stance. In this training, Fei must remain in a squatting position with a candle underneath him. If he relaxes, the candle will burn him. He has to stay in this position for 5 hours. The assistant coach watches over him to ensure Fei doesn't cheat. The assistant is spiteful towards Fei because Fei humiliated him in front of the students. He decides to make the training even harder for Fei by pouring hot water into the bowl above his head and constantly provoking him. Jimmy, Faye's friend, appears with a chair and quickly places it under Faye so he can sit and rest. Unfortunately, Wang arrives and sees Faye sitting on the chair. He tells Faye, "I have to bring your Uncle Tsai to train you personally." Wang cancels the current training and assigns an even tougher one. He ties Faye in the air, hanging by his neck with a large water jar attached to him. Jimmy shows up again to help Faye, feeding him because he is starving and then freeing him from the rope. Jimmy asks Faye, "Is your Uncle Tsai really coming to train you?" Faye replies, "Yes." Unfortunately, Jimmy warns him, "That's a disaster. Haven't you heard about your uncle's training methods? He's known to be extremely harsh. You might lose an arm in one of his training sessions. I once knew a student who trained under him. Because of his training, the student became disfigured, and his teeth and hair fell out." Faye becomes very frightened after hearing this from Jimmy. Jimmy advises him to run away quickly, and Faye does so, escaping immediately. First, he enters a nearby restaurant because he is very hungry. He sees a wealthy man sitting alone and joins him. Faye orders almost everything on the menu. The wealthy man is astonished by how Faye eats, quickly and voraciously, as if he hasn't seen food in a long time. Faye had been training hard all day under his father's grueling regimen, so he was starving. After finishing all the food, he got up to leave. When the waiter asked about the bill, Faye claimed that the man he had eaten with was his father and that he would pay. The waiter responded, "That man you're talking about is actually the owner of the restaurant. I am his son. You thief! You can't escape the bill." The restaurant staff gathered around Faye, but he told them, "I forgot my wallet. I'll go get it and come back." Just as he was about to flee, a giant man named Gorilla appeared, blocking his way. The workers started to gang up on Faye, who managed to fend them off until he reached Gorilla, with whom he struggled. Gorilla wrecked the place, restrained Faye, and the staff started beating him up. Suddenly an old man appeared and defended Faye, saying, "All this against one person? That's not honorable." The old man started fighting the restaurant workers. Underestimating him due to his age, they were quickly proven wrong, as he displayed impressive martial arts skills, leaping around effortlessly and defeating them all with ease. Afterward, he and Faye fled the scene and found a place to rest. Faye thanked the old man for his help and asked for his name. The old man introduced himself as Master Tsai. Faye started venting about how a teacher named Tsai had ruined his life and forced him to run away from school, not realizing that the old man was actually his uncle, Tsai. Tsai revealed his identity and told Faye, "I came to this town to train a failure named Faye." When Faye realized who he was talking to, he jumped up in shock and tried to escape, but Tsai appeared everywhere Faye ran. Tsai began training him immediately, stating, "Your father paid me to train you, and I will. This training will take a full year." Faye tried to fight his uncle, but was no match for him. Tsai easily subdued Faye using a unique kung fu style known as the Drunken Master technique. Tsai sat on Faye's back and told him, "You will train, whether you like it or not." Faye reluctantly surrendered, and Tsai took him home to start the training. From the moment they entered the house, the training began. Tsai disciplined Faye by beating him to make him stronger and more disciplined. He told Faye, "From now on, you'll only say yes and sir. Otherwise, I'll beat you and humiliate you." That night, while Tsai slept, Faye tried to take advantage of the situation and escape. However, he was surprised to find that Tsai had tied his toe with a rope. Tsai woke up and said, "Come here, smarty," trying to act clever and run away. Faye responded, "No, I just wanted to go to the bathroom." The next day, the real training began. Tsai made Faye stand on 4 large jars, one filled with water, and had him transfer the water from jar to jar. Faye got frustrated and devised a plan to escape. He pretended to drown in the water jar, and at first, Tsai thought he was faking. However, when Tsai approached to check on him, Faye quickly trapped Tsai in the jar and escaped, sealing the jar with a heavy stone to keep Tsai inside. Faye then ran away as fast as he could. He soon found a place to dry his clothes, but then a dangerous man named Thunderleg appeared. Thunderleg confronted Faye, asking, "What are you doing here in my house? Get out immediately." Faye didn't know who Thunderleg was. Thunderleg was a hired assassin, committing murders for money. Faye refused to leave until his clothes dried, which angered Thunderleg. "I need to teach you some manners," Thunderleg said as he attacked Faye, pushing him onto the fire, burning him. Faye tried to fight back, but Thunderleg was skilled in kung fu with rare techniques. He pummeled Faye, calling him a failure. Faye attempted to prove him wrong but was overpowered and brutally beaten. Thunderleg stepped on Fei's face, humiliating him and said, "You need 20 more years of training to defeat me." He then made Fei crawl and burned his clothes in front of him. Humiliated and feeling broken, Fei ran away, determined to train hard and seek revenge on Thunderleg. He decided to return to his uncle Tsai for training. Tsai was initially disappointed with Fei's previous behavior, but Fei apologized sincerely, offering a drink to reconcile. He asked Tsai to train him again, and Tsai finally agreed. Tsai resumed training Fei rigorously, teaching him authentic kung fu techniques and treating him like a son. The next day, Tsai tied Fei's leg and had him fill a bucket with water using tiny cups, making the training extremely difficult. When Tsai pretended to fall asleep, Fei attempted to cheat by untying himself and filling the bucket directly. He woke Tsai, claiming he had completed the task, but Tsai knew he cheated. As punishment, Tsai gave him even smaller cups and told him to empty the water and refill it. Frustrated but determined, Fei complied. Tsai then had him break coconuts with his bare hands to strengthen his nerves. At first, Fei couldn't do it, but with persistent training, he succeeded, breaking several coconuts. Exhausted, Fei asked for a break, so Tsai took him to a town. They found a gambling den where Tsai placed bets and won significant money due to his skills. However, a thug named Ironhead didn't like Tsai winning and challenged him. Ironhead manipulated the game quickly, but Tsai caught him cheating. Ironhead caused a commotion and stole the money, trying to escape, but Tsai caught him like a thief. Fei demanded the stolen money back, but Ironhead refused, challenging Fei to a fight instead. They engaged in a fierce battle, with Ironhead proving to be strong. Fei struggled against him, and the fight dragged on until Tsai handed Fei an iron hammer. Fei used it to strike Ironhead, swelling his head and winning the fight. Afterward, Fei returned to his training, focusing on strengthening his hand nerves. One day, Tsai's hands trembled, and he ran out of his drink. He gave Fei money to buy wine from the market. However, Fei, being irresponsible, spent the money on food at a restaurant and filled Tsai's wine bottle with water instead. Tsai sat on edge, waiting for the wine, while the tremor in his hand grew worse. Suddenly, Ironhead entered with his older brother, Bamboo. Bamboo was there to avenge what happened to his brother. Introducing himself to Tsai, Bamboo didn't realize he was facing the famous Master Tsai. However, when he found out, he hesitated and started to leave. Ironhead mocked him, saying, "Do you really believe this is Master Tsai? Look at how his hand is shaking. There's no way this is the real Master Tsai." Bamboo, convinced by his brother, attacked Tsai. Tsai couldn't defend himself properly due to his shaky nerves, and Bamboo beat him severely. Just then, Fei arrived and saw what was happening. Tsai shouted for the wine, but upon drinking, he realized it was water. Bamboo attacked again, almost finishing Tsai off, but Fei intervened. Together, they fought Bamboo, but he overpowered them both, forcing them to flee like cowards. They waited until Bamboo left before returning home. Fei felt deep remorse for causing their defeat by not bringing Tsai the wine he needed. Tsai told him, "This is the first time I've ever been defeated in my life because I lose my strength without the wine." Fei complained that if Tsai had taught him his fighting style, he could have defeated Bamboo instead of just learning push-ups and boring exercises. Tsai laughed and said, "I was preparing you to learn the secret style, the drunken master technique." After drinking some wine, Tsai began teaching Fei the drunken master style, which relied on the fighter appearing drunk. He explained, "This style is full of secrets and tricks. The key is to make your opponent think you're weak and defeated, only to surprise them with your strength." They spent the whole night drinking, with Fei eventually losing consciousness. The next morning, Fei began training in the drunken master techniques. He applied all the instructions from Tsai, and his physical fitness improved significantly. He practiced the moves while pretending to be drunk, mastering the unique fighting style. Meanwhile, at Master Wong's school, Wong, Fei's father, was having an important conversation with Li, Jerry's father. Li wanted to buy some land from the villagers. However, Master Wong had intervened, advising the villagers not to sell their land to Li. Li confronted Wong, asking why he had told the villagers not to sell. Wong replied, "I know your intentions. I know why you specifically chose that land. There's gold underneath, and you want to buy it at a low price." Li was shocked that Wong knew about the gold and proposed, "I'll give you 20% of the gold's value if you convince the villagers to sell the land." Wong refused and said, The gold under this land belongs to the poor villagers. I won't let you carry out your plans." Li felt insulted and left with his men, but sent a message to the assassin Thunderleg, offering him $1,000 to kill the master. Thunderleg agreed. Meanwhile, Fei went to Bamboo's school and saw him standing among his students. Fei decided to attack Bamboo to avenge himself. Showing impressive skills he had learned from Master Sai, Fei fought Bamboo, who was unaware of Fei's mastery of the Drunken Master technique. Fei was superior in the fight, and midway through he drank some wine to become more drunken. Bamboo underestimated him, thinking he could easily defeat a drunk Fei. But Fei, fully drunk, overwhelmed Bamboo with powerful strikes and defeated him effortlessly. After his victory, Fei took 2 barrels of wine from Bamboo's school and returned to Master Tsai as a gift. However, when Fei entered the house, he found it empty, with only a letter from Master Tsai. The letter said Fei's training was complete, that Tsai had taught him all the martial arts he would need in life, and reminded him that the Drunken Master style was one of the strongest forms of Kung Fu. Tsai advised Fei to return to his father and be a good son, assuring him that he would come if Fei ever needed him. Fei felt sad because he had grown attached to Master Tsai and didn't want to leave him. At Master Wong's school, a student rushed to Wong saying, "Come quickly! Li's men are digging on the villagers' land." Wong hurried with his student but was led into the desert. It was a trap. The student had lured Wong to Thunderleg. Thunderleg attacked immediately, revealing that someone had paid him to kill Wong. Wong, ready to fight, told him to show his best. However, due to his age, Wong struggled to keep up with Thunderleg. Thunderleg dominated the fight, beating Wong to the ground and almost killing him. Just in time, a loyal student arrived with Fei to save his father. Fei was shocked to see Thunderleg again. This was his chance for revenge. This time, Fei was brave and unafraid, speaking confidently to Thunderleg. Thunderleg taunted him, saying he would kill both him and his father. At that moment, Master Sai appeared, handing a bottle of wine to Fei. Fei drank it and began fighting Thunderleg. Although Thunderleg initially controlled the fight, Fei, empowered by the fast-acting wine Sai had brought, managed to evade Thunderleg's attacks. Fei attacked back fiercely, though Thunderleg still posed a significant challenge, hitting Fei hard. Fei focused, using all the techniques he had learned from Master Tsai. Whenever he sobered up, he drank more wine, maintaining his edge. In the end, Fei's perseverance paid off. He defeated Thunderleg by breaking his neck, finally avenging himself and his father. With Master Sai believing in him, Fei gained confidence, and we move forward 18 years. Fei, his father, and their servant Chow were at a busy train station returning from a trip where they bought some medicinal herbs. Due to customs, they were supposed to pay $50 for the goods. Suddenly, the British ambassador's car arrived, and we learned that Britain was occupying China at that time. The guards cleared the way for the ambassador and his family to board the train. Fei got an idea to avoid paying customs fees. He discreetly hid the herbs in one of the ambassador's bags, figuring the ambassador wouldn't have to pay customs. Fei planned to retrieve the herbs once on the train. Once everyone boarded the train, Fei climbed in through a window to secure seats for himself and his father. When the train stopped at the next station, Fei told his father he was going to get something to eat, but actually headed to the ambassador's car to retrieve the herbs. However, he discovered a thief had stolen something from the ambassador's luggage. The thief struck Fei and tried to escape through the window. Fei pursued him, and the thief jumped off the train, with Fei following closely. The thief attacked Fei and called him a traitor, which confused and angered Fei. They fought fiercely, but the thief, though he had a chance to kill Fei, didn't do so. Instead, he warned Fei not to follow him again and escaped. Determined, Fei chased the thief, and they fought once more. Fei decided to use the Drunken Master technique, but the thief was familiar with it and effectively countered Fei's moves, eventually overpowering him. Impressed by the thief's skills, Fei made friends with him. The thief revealed his name was Zhang, a member of the Chinese resistance against the British occupation. Zhang explained he called Fei a traitor because he thought Fei disapproved of him stealing from the ambassador. Realizing the misunderstanding, they parted ways amicably. Fei then hurried back to catch the train before it left. A helpful stranger assisted him in boarding the train. Later, the guards decided to search all passengers because something valuable had been stolen from the ambassador's luggage. Fei, who had been sleeping, was awakened for the search. He showed them his belongings, unaware that his herbal box had been swapped with the stolen box. When he discovered the switch, he quickly hid the box. The guards demanded he open it, leaving Faye unsure of what to do. Fortunately, the man who helped Faye board the train intervened, explaining to the guards that Faye and his companions were doctors and could not be thieves. He showed them his credentials, revealing he was an undercover British intelligence officer surveilling Faye. The guards left Faye alone, leaving him puzzled by the officer's actions. Meanwhile, the British ambassador returned home and was furious with the guards for losing his prized Chinese statue. He instructed his chief officer John to retrieve the statue at any cost. Faye and his father returned to their martial arts school, where Faye greeted his mother. He didn't tell his father about the incident on the train. Later, a man named Mr. Chan arrived. Chan was a friend of Faye's late master. Mr. Chan had requested Faye's father to bring some herbs, and Wong asked Faye to fetch them. Faye found himself in a predicament because the herbs were no longer with him. He asked his mother for help, explaining that the herb box had been switched. Faye came up with a plan and asked his mother to distract his father. He then grabbed any plant he could find and presented it to Mr. Chan as the requested herbs. This quick thinking saved Faye from the trouble he would have faced from his father. Next, we moved to a coal factory where the workers, all Chinese, were producing coal for Britain. A new manager named Henry was appointed. Henry was Chinese but had been raised by a British family, which led to his disdain for China. His first decision was to enforce mandatory overtime for the same pay, threatening the workers to leave if they disagreed. The workers protested, stating they couldn't be bought. Henry then revealed his kung fu skills, violently beating the workers and burning several with a flaming stick, forcing them to comply. The next day, Faye went to the market to buy supplies for home. While purchasing items from the vendor Lao, he met a woman named Fan, who admired Faye's fighting style. Faye chatted with her and bought some things. Lao, who had feelings for Fan, became jealous and challenged Faye to a fight, claiming his Choi Lei Foot style was superior to Faye's drunken master technique. Lao proposed that if Faye won, he could buy anything for free from his stall. Faye accepted the challenge. The fight began, and Faye skillfully blocked all of Lao's attacks, impressing the onlookers who cheered for him. Faye easily defeated Lao and then walked away. Later, Faye went out with his mother, unaware that some officers were surveilling him, suspecting that he had the box containing the ambassador's statue. Suddenly, one of the officers snatched Faye's mother's bag and ran. Faye immediately gave chase. The officer threw the bag to one of his colleagues, and Faye chased after him, managing to retrieve his mother's bag. However, it turned out to be a trap set by the British officers to provoke a fight. Henry and the officers appeared, with Henry accusing Faye of pushing him while running. Faye's mother tried to defend him, but Henry slapped her. Naturally, Faye didn't stay silent and began fighting them. He bravely fought them all alone without any fear, dealing blows to everyone, while Henry stayed out of the fight. Faye's mother and her friends then fetched a lot of wine bottles and gave them to Faye. Faye drank the wine, got drunk, and activated the drunken master style. In no time, he took down all the attackers. Henry then stepped in and fought Faye, but Faye was completely drunk, making it impossible for Henry to land a single hit. Faye easily defeated him, and Henry and his men fled. Master Wong arrived and saw what was happening. Since Faye was heavily drunk, he mistook his father for one of Henry's men and attacked him. Wong tried to stop him and bring him to his senses, but couldn't. Finally, Faye realized it was his father. When Faye returned home, his father was upset because he had told him never to drink again and never to fight on the street, fearing he would become addicted to alcohol. Wong beat him with a stick, and when Faye's mother defended him, Wong scolded her, telling her not to interfere. Then Mr. Chan's wife arrived and told Wong that the herbs her husband had taken from them were not the right ones, but were actually poisonous. Her husband had gotten poisoned after consuming them. Wong was deeply embarrassed and apologized to her. He then questioned the servant who had accompanied them on the train and asked where the real herbs were. The servant revealed that Faye was responsible and that the herbs had been lost on the train. This made Wong even angrier, and he continued to beat Faye. Fei, still drunk and not understanding anything, broke a large wine barrel because he couldn't drink anymore. Wang, furious, tried to throw him out of the house. In his intoxicated state, Fei accidentally hit his father. Wang then disowned him, saying he didn't want to see him again. Fei went to a restaurant, continued drinking, and sang sadly about what he had done to his father. Henry and his men, along with John, appeared and saw Fei in this state. They decided to take advantage of his inability to even stand. John kicked him onto a table, and when someone tried to defend Fei, Henry's men beat him up. Fei, now too drunk to fight, was tied up by Henry's men and hung on the city gate. Wang saw his son hanging and had the servant bring him down and take him home. Fei was very upset, crying because his dignity had been shattered in front of the townspeople. The next day, he apologized to his father for his actions and promised never to drink wine again. That night, the officer they had seen on the train knocked on Master Wang's school and asked for Fei. Fei's mother mistook him for one of the British officers and started fighting him. He tried to explain, but she didn't listen and continued to fight. When Fei saw his mother fighting, he intervened and joined the fight. Wang finally stepped in and stopped the fight. He explained that the officer was a member of the Chinese resistance. The officer then sat down with them and explained what had happened on the train and how the box had been switched. Fei gave him the statue. The next day they talked, and Fei asked why he had wanted to steal the Chinese statue from the British ambassador. Feng Qi explained that the statue had an imperial seal from an ancient Chinese emperor and was considered a Chinese artifact. The British ambassador wanted to smuggle it from China to England. Feng Qi emphasized that while it might seem like just a statue, it was a part of China's heritage. He warned that if they let such artifacts be taken over time, more would be stolen, and eventually, even the Great Wall of China might be taken. Future generations will grow up without knowing their country's history. They will have to travel abroad to see our artifacts. Fei apologizes to Funachi for causing him problems and says he is a patriot deserving of thanks. Suddenly, many fighters, hired by the British ambassador, storm in to attack and take the Chinese statue. Fei and Funachi fight bravely, using all their martial arts skills, and manage to defeat many of them. They jump from the location and continue fighting in the street. Fei tells Funachi to escape with the statue, but unfortunately John shoots and kills Funachi, taking the statue and fleeing. Fei is deeply saddened by Funachi's death as he was a patriot who loved China. Before dying, Funachi asked Fei to infiltrate the embassy and retrieve the statue. Fei and his friend Lao agree to retrieve the statue at any cost. That night, they sneak into the British embassy disguised as guards, going undetected until the lights suddenly turn on, revealing them. The ambassador orders their capture, and they are imprisoned and tortured. The ambassador has photos taken of Fei and Lao and sends them to Wang, demanding he sells his school to free his son. If Wang refuses, they will execute Fei. Faced with no other choice, Wang agrees to the ambassador's terms, giving up his school to free Fei and Lao. The next day, Fei and Lao are released. Fei is surprised by his easy release and learns that Wang sold the school to free them. Fei is greatly upset, wishing he had died rather than give up their land. At the coal factory, workers discover hidden Chinese artifacts in the boxes being sent to England. One worker tries to escape to inform others, but is stopped by British military guards. However, the workers help him escape the factory. The worker informs Fei about the British smuggling their artifacts. Fei gathers the workers to start a rebellion in front of the factory. A large battle ensues between the rebels and the army, and Fei decides to infiltrate the factory to retrieve the stolen artifacts. He encounters a fighter wielding iron chains, and a fight ensues, which Fei quickly wins. Then Henry and John appear, ordering their men to attack Fei. Fei fights them all with great strength, defeating them despite Henry throwing fire and gasoline at him. After defeating them, Fei confronts Henry and John. John, a skilled fighter with fast leg movements and martial arts proficiency, battles Fei. Fei uses the drunken master technique, drinking gasoline for its alcohol content, and breathes fire on Henry, setting him ablaze. Fei drinks more gasoline despite its toxicity, becoming impervious to pain and overpowering John. He finally throws John onto a table, incapacitating him, thus saving the artifacts from being stolen. Fei then collapses from gasoline poisoning. The next day, Master Wang is honored by the Chinese army commander for saving China's artifacts from British occupation. Fei misses the ceremony as he is in the hospital recovering from poisoning, and thus, we reach the end of the series. That's all for today's video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and check out our other selection of recaps. Take care.